Well, my first real metal band we were called Strychnine, and we used to open for a lot of bigger bands, and I was really young. I was probably only 16 at the time. This would have been the early 2000s. But we opened up the show with Morbid Angel. So I got to watch Morbid Angel, and I did a little research because I knew I was going to be playing with them. So I listened to like Where the Slime Live, probably the first thing that I could find. And then once I saw them play live, I was like obsessed. Like from that point on, I knew that death metal was what I wanted to do.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today I welcome a special guest. We got Josh DeMuth. How you doing today, brother?
Doing well. How are you doing, Brian?
Not too bad. Which part of the world are you hailing from?
I am in Dubuque, Iowa.
I guess, is that close to like Des Moines or some of the other big cities?
No, it's not. It's not too close to Des Moines. Des Moines probably about 3.5 hours from me. But I'm right at the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. So Dubuque's it's right on the river. I could drive to Illinois, cross over into Wisconsin, and be back home in probably 15 minutes. So
Actually, I've interviewed a good number of people out of the Iowa area, but it always seems like most of them seem to reside on the eastern half, close to like Illinois, and I guess you're close to Wisconsin there too. So that's all good.
Yep.
So I guess so. What's new? I guess what you and the boys been up to?
Not too much. With Liquified, we've been working on a new album for, I don't know, probably the past 5-6 months or something. And we just finished up. We have it written and then we recorded it. We're just kind of finishing up production, if you will. So
yeah, when I was checking out your Facebook page, I actually saw a couple of bands that you were a part of.
Yeah.
And actually, before hopping on, you did talk about you got a project Mutilated by Zombies. Just to fill in the audience, are you still a part of that group, or I guess what's the story behind that?
Nope. Actually, we kind of put it down. We were together for 15 years, and that's quite a long time, to be in a band. So I'm really thankful for those years. But towards the end there, people's lives change, and we were kind of starting to go in different directions, and it was time to kind of set it down for a little bit. So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, things could change and we could do a reunion get together. But as far as now, it's just kind of, we're pretty much through with it. So.
Had a good old reunion tour in that case. We bring it back.
That would be cool. You never know.
Actually, what should we call it then? Should be like Resurrection from the Grave or something?
Yeah, I think that would be fitting. You bet.
That's how it all goes. That's how it always goes. So, or I guess we should maybe do like a Night of the Living Dead sort of scenario if we want.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool too.
All right, but we'll leave it up to you. But hopefully one day we can get it back. So.
Yeah. You never know, man. We'll see what happens.
All right, but have you always kind of stuck within the whole? I guess they call it goregasm or whatever they call it when people tend to go to like the gore sort of themes. Have you guys always stuck with that horror theme throughout your tenure?
Yeah, pretty much. I did that throughout Mutilated and continued it with Liquified, and even kind of trying to ramp up the whole gore, theme behind it this time around. So yeah, I've pretty much always done that as far as the 2 death metal bands that I'm, doing. Oh, you know what? I do also do vocals for another death metal project called Symbiotic Necroticism. And I just wanted to include that also has similar themes. So
it's always funny when you find out some of these death metal bands utilize some of the words you probably would not have found out on your own in like high school or anything like that.
Yeah. Actually, my buddy Quinn came up with that name, so I'll have to credit him for that one. But you're right. It's some of the stuff you have to look up and be like, what does that even mean?
It's like, I think it's even a whole lot of those other bands, like I think Devourment would be like one of those bands.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if it was like Cesspool of Vermin or something. I don't know, but there were other Gorgasm sort of bands that kind of like
Sure.
utilized a whole bunch of dictionary sort of words.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's like it's almost like, did you even pay attention in high school, or did you just look it
Right.
up because of that?
A lot of research after high school, I bet.
I guess so. All right. But you can elaborate more on the music and everything else too, just a little bit. But first off, Josh, I want to welcome you to my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And thanks for responding there too. So, but the way it's going to work is I just want to ask you some questions, get to know you more both as a musician, but also as an individual as well here too. So,
Okay.
You all ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So before we jump into more of the projects, let's get to know you in general first. So
Yeah.
For the first question, who are you and how did you become a musician?
Well, I'm Josh DeMuth. I'm from Dubuque, Iowa. How it started with me is pretty much as my earliest memories are being really fascinated with instruments, namely drums and guitar. So I knew I always wanted, those things. And I was just destined to at least try to become a musician. But how I actually became one, what I would say when I was in, I don't know, maybe my early teens, about 13, 14, I started my first band and we started to play concerts and stuff like that. And I would say that's how I became a musician. So.
Did your parents have any sort of influence? I guess where they tried to get you into band or strings back in the day before making that jump into guitar?
Not really. I mean, they had major influence on me as far as the music goes. So they, when I grew up listening to like classic rock, stuff like The Doors, Van Morrison, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, that kind of stuff. And I always was really pushing them to be like, hey, can I have a guitar? Well, we'll see, maybe sometime, so they weren't really pushing me to actually become a musician or anything. I was more kind of begging them to get me instruments. So
I guess your early projects, when you say you're in your teenage years there, were you kind of doing the classic rock sort of covers, or were you actually experimenting with any sort of death metal or anything like that?
So, God, at this time, it would have been, I think, about 1999. So Slipknot had just come out, right? And it was all about metal. It was Slipknot. I think at that time, my favorite band was already Korn. We were doing the new metal thing. So we had this little band that it was a 3-piece, and I was actually the drummer. And that evolved into where we found another guy who was a drummer, but I also played guitar. So I was happy to step to guitar, and we kind of, I don't know, we played for some really cool shows, and it was awesome. So I would lump us in the new metal group. So
I guess you tried to imitate them, do the whole mask and
no mask. We did do some kind of gimmicky stuff. We used to put, a little fake blood on our faces and stuff like that, but we didn't go too crazy with it. So, but we played with a lot of, I guess you would say, metal bands, and new metal bands too, some new metal bands, but through that band is how I discovered death metal. So that, we started off as new metal and then kind of evolved, and that would later, define what I've been doing for the past how many years. So
I guess what was your introduction to death metal? Was it Cannibal Corpse?
No, I did know, actually I was familiar with Cannibal Corpse, but I didn't really get too into them. I think I knew of them from the movie Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. But so I remember that scene and stuff, but I wasn't actively listening to them. Well, my first real metal band we were called Strict 9, and we used to open for a lot of bigger bands, and I was really young. I was probably only 16 at the time. This would have been the early 2000s. But we opened up the show with Morbid Angel. So I got to watch Morbid Angel, and I did a little research because I knew I was going to be playing with them. So I listened to like Where the Slime Live, probably the first thing that I could find. And then once I saw him play live, I was like obsessed. Like from that point on, I knew that death metal was what I wanted to do.
I guess this was also the years with was Dave Vincent still there and Pete Sandoval?
Yeah, okay, I think so. God, so this would have been, they were touring to support oh my God. The year would have been 2003. The name of the record for some reason is eluding me. I think it's because I'm on the spot, but Heretic. They were supporting Heretic. So yeah, I think wasn't Vincent on Heretic?
I want to say yes. I know Pete definitely was. I think Pete had stopped after.
Yeah, Pete definitely was. I mean, I met Pete so at that show that we played with him. Yeah. So and Trey, I swear I think it was Vincent, but either way, it was very cool. I was really young and they blew my mind.
Actually, this wasn't a Wayne's World moment. Be like, we're not worthy.
Yeah.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, you could say that.
Actually, there was a friend of mine from Florida. It was sort of a similar situation where they had met Morbid Angel as well at a different venue.
Okay.
And I actually asked sort of the same question if it was a Wayne's World sort of moment right there. Like, we're not worthy, that whole deal.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and I think at that time, so it was my band opened the show. Right afterwards, Devil Driver took the stage, and they were brand new at the time. And then it was Morbid Angel and Superjoint Ritual closed out the night. So I was more doing the whole we're not worthy thing, with like Phil, because I was like, oh my, from Pantera, you know what I mean? So it was one of those things back then as a kid. But had I known how much, I was going to grow into the death metal and have it just consume my whole world, that I probably would have been the opposite. I would have definitely been doing that to the guys in Morbid Angel.
You tend to wonder at the time if people were mostly there to see Morbid Angel, and then they would miss out on seeing Superjoint Ritual. It's like that sort of scenario would be like, we came to see those guys, not the main headliner. So
yeah. I mean, you never know, man. I'm sure there was a lot of that because, it seems to we're here in Dubuque. We don't get too much death metal stuff. So when something like that were to come through, like that it's really cool treat for us. So.
I actually do have questions about the music scene, about Dubuque, just a moment here too. But I guess let's go ahead, jump into. Was it first Mutilated by Zombies, and then you worked your way into Liquified Decomposition, or I guess
Correct.
What's history?
Yeah. So once I could kind of see that, things were going to be changing for Mutilated. So, and I knew that I wanted to create still, so that I started Liquified by myself. Yeah.
So I guess what's the history? I guess you're in this new metal band, and then you get introduced to death metal, play with Morbid Angel.
Yeah.
So
that band was Strict 9, and we played for years. I mean, I think I did that. We were playing live for probably 10 years and, not touring or anything, but just playing kind of shows around the Midwest. And then, as that life goes on, everything changes. That started to collapse, and I started Mutilated by Zombies with one of my really close friends. I'm still close friends with him. His name's Eric Demers. But he and I started it. We recruited a bass player. We recruited a drummer. Eric had to leave the band, and this was Mutilated. So, we just decided to keep running with it, and it just stuck for a really long time. I mean, 15 years of hard playing shows, writing and recording and releasing music.
I kept thinking with Mutilated by Zombies, was it kind of influenced by Cannibal Corpse's Pit of Zombies from Gorpses?
Very much so influenced by Cannibal Corpse. 100%. I mean, Mutilated by Zombies is essentially Cannibal Corpse. Like it's a zombie eating, So, I mean, very much so at that time. I loved Cannibal Corpse. I still do. But we kind of wanted to do something that was, more old school death metal. I think at that time, a lot of deathcore was coming out, and we're like, well, let's stick with the more old school style of death metal. So that was kind of the influence there. Yeah.
We were also around during the MySpace era which also influenced the whole deathcore thing with like Suicide
Yeah,
Silence.
I was. And I never had a MySpace account. That I just didn't. I never was on there. But I hear about it quite often. The MySpace deathcore. I think there's even, like pages on, Facebook or something that you can follow called MySpace deathcore. So I'm familiar. Yeah.
Well, definitely had a killer sound there too, especially when you listen back to the old material that came out. I guess '06, between '06 and '08, I guess.
Yeah.
So you never see why. So
for sure.
So I guess what really influenced the sounds? I think more so liquefied decomposition these days. So I guess what's really the influence of the sound of liquefied decomposition?
So I wanted to do something a little different. I think Mutilated by Zombies was a little more leaning on the techie side of things. So for Liquified, I drew a lot of inspiration from some slam bands and brutal death metal, brutal slam bands. And I just decided to kind of not really dumb it down, but instead of focusing so much on the like trying to find more of a groovy thing that, I think is easier for people to kind of latch on to. So I think I would say a lot of slam influenced, I still call it death metal. I don't really call it slam, but I would say it's definitely influenced with what I've been doing.
Not to kind of sort of get off topic, but usually when I've heard like some of the slam bands, for instance, it did sort of have that deathcore sort of feel with maybe the breakdowns.
Yeah,
there's kind of similarities.
Oh, 100%. There is a lot of deathcore, and I'm doing, I guess, in some of this new Liquified stuff, you could say I have deathcore style breakdowns throughout the album. Which is kind of new for me. It's something that I haven't really got into super hard and stuff I've released in the past. So, but yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Actually, you tend to wonder if you blame suffocation for it, because it seems like they credit at the 250 mark of Liege of Inveracity.
Okay.
That was the first bass drop that you heard, which is, I guess, is kind of pretty faint, to be honest.
Okay. But yeah, suffocation, internal bleeding is another one. But I would also say those aren't the style. Like I've been listening to a lot of weird slam. Like one of my a big influence for this new record I have that's about to come out would be a Russian slam band called Nauseating. And it's just unintelligible burping sounds, and just really catchy slam grooves, So I've just kind of been enjoying that stuff.
At least for the vocalist, it's easy then. You just need to probably either sound like a pig squealing or
yeah. I will say in Liquify, though, we do work really hard to actually pronunciate our words. And if you're listening through a song and reading the lyrics, you'd be like, oh, I can actually understand that now. So we don't go too hard to where it's totally unintelligible.
Actually, I was thinking like the South Park. I forget what episode it was, but it was the one where Stan, I think it was Butters and Jimmy, they had formed their little death metal group there too, which I guess it was sort of like doom metal in a way because of the way Stan was kind of acting. Maybe he would try like this whole thing. I think it was like Dying Fetus.
Yeah, that Dying Fetus that was actually playing the music. I think you're right.
It was so cool though, but it was almost like it was a good parody to say the least.
That was really good. I loved every second of it. It's so cool to see death metal in mainstream media. So
well, especially if it's killing hippies there too, where we have to play Rain in Blood.
Yes. Classic.
So, that's for sure. So, what was the other project you said that you were a part of outside of Liquified Decomposition?
Outside of that and outside of Mutilated, I was as far as metal goes, it was called Strychnine.
Not that. It was a.
Is it Experiment 79?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's what you mentioned earlier there.
So this ties back to kind of that that band Strychnine. Actually, was the guy who played drums, family friend for most of my life. The guy who had played drums for that band. We were talking and we said, hey, let's do like a a new music project, but not metal, because all we've ever done was metal. So we were kind of going for like, we wanted to do like a 1970s rock kind of thing. And then we wrote our first song, and it kind of sounded like a 90s rock song. So that's where we came up with the name Experiment 79. So we did, we wrote a bunch of songs, and we played a handful of shows, and we never ended up putting the album out. You know, there was a lot of things happened, you know, within the band. Some members had to leave, and there was some health stuff going on. So we kind of had to put that, you know, on the sidelines. And I'm not sure I'd like to finish that album, actually. So I think I'm still going to eventually. I just don't know when. So
we'll leave it in the archives, that sort of thing there too.
Yeah.
So. All right, fair enough there. All right. So let's see. All right, let's jump into the hard topic of COVID right here too. So
okay.
So I'm not sure what you were doing music wise at the time, so feel free to share that one. But how bad was COVID for you on a personal and family level?
You know, on a personal level, and did you say family level?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't have kids or anything. It's just me and my lady, and so it wasn't too bad for us at that aspect of the family side of things. You know, it was kind of normal for us. We still kind of just went to work and trucked right through it. But on the music side of stuff, you know, it put a complete halt, obviously, to any performing. And, you know, there was obviously that wasn't ideal. And the best we could do is just kind of try to take advantage of that. And we wrote the last Mutilated by Zombies album, actually, during COVID. So, and I'm kind of thankful, not that COVID happened, but I'm thankful that we had time to sit down and not be worried with playing shows, because otherwise I don't know if that last album would actually had came out, you know, if we weren't forced into now all we have to do is focus on the album instead of, you know, you're playing shows, you got to plan all that, and you're constantly getting together and rehearsing. It was, you know, worked out to get the final album. I would say that'd be the only positive out of it.
I guess what was the final album titled?
The final album, actually, I have it right here. I'll show you. It is titled, I don't know if you can see that, but Scenes from the Afterlife. Artwork by Carl Dahmer, put out by Redefining Darkness Records. It's kind of a shorter album, but you know, I'm super proud of it, and I'm happy that we actually were able to put one more out after all of our years together. So I think we kind of ended it on a good note with that record.
That's for sure. So, but first off, on a serious note, good to see you and the girl doing well there. So,
yes,
you go strongly, buddy. Okay. So, I did mention earlier I was going to talk about the music scene in Dubuque right there.
Yeah.
But how's it been since COVID? I guess even before COVID happened, I guess, because I know you mentioned about Morbid Angel, sort of those depot groups coming through, which was a huge achievement.
So back then, there was a place called the Arena, and it was actually right across the river, and it was actually in East Dubuque, Illinois, and that's the place that had those death metal bands coming through. But back then, you know, they closed down a long time ago, and the music scene since has thrived in Dubuque. There's a place that I've played at, you know, so many times throughout my, I guess, career playing live music, called the Busted Lift. It's a really cool little bar, and you can see all kinds of music there. But they do a lot of metal there too, and I've hosted a lot of shows. Like, are you familiar with Pathology?
I think I've heard of the name, but I don't think I really.
Yeah, so I've had like music, Pathology come through, and they're kind of like a bigger name, you know, in that genre. So stuff like that is pretty cool. We've got Skeleton Witch, played with them there. God, there's a lot more that I can't think of off the top of my head, but so that, you know, we try our best, but it's mostly anymore. It's mostly kind of like your places that you can play at is limited to a bar venue. If not a bar venue, it's at the casino. And they don't really want to do like the really heavy stuff at the casino. You know what I mean? So it's kind of limited, but as far as the scene goes within the community, it's strong. There are a lot of bands and everybody's real positive and lifts each other up and, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, we're faced with it's hard to, you know, find places to play all the time, but there's a very active scene still.
That's good. But I think playing at a casino, I think you get a bunch of the older folks who are always coming in and wasting the savings and be like, who's this guy? Get away from my kid, man.
Yeah, you imagine older people listening to guttural vocals and blast beats, and it just doesn't seem to mix well. That'd be funny, though.
We could totally turn that to a South Park episode before you know it.
For sure. I could see it.
Actually, I was going to ask if your vocalist, is he always the one who's like going to do this sort of stuff? Almost like he's in some sort of trance or something?
Now that you say that, yes.
You know, I always think of like Barney Greenway too, especially when he's always jumping around. That's almost like probably a nice little snorting line or something if you want to say it that way.
Right.
He does it, but I guess he just lets himself go. So I guess, have you worked with vocalists who were usually trying to do Barney Greenway sort of moves or any sort of theatrics?
No, not necessarily. You know, anytime that I've been in a band that had a vocalist just who only did vocals and that, I kind of just focus on my guitar, you know, and then whatever they wanted to do, they could do. And I probably wouldn't even be looking or noticing, you know, but, then throughout Mutilated, I was the vocalist. So I was always playing guitar and doing vocals. And then again, in Liquified, I do have a vocalist, but I'm also doing vocals as well. So, and he actually, you know, he's tasked with a lot of his moves are pretty much he's running our samples too. So he's splitting his brain. He's doing the vocals. He's running the samples, and then he does a good job at riling the crowd up. So
yeah, he's pretty preoccupied. So.
Yes, yeah, he keeps busy.
I do have to ask though, for guitar players with the long hair, including yourself, how do you keep it from getting to the strings? I'm thinking even with the windmill chopping and all that sort of stuff, I'd be worried of getting caught in my strings. I'd be worried I'd get screwed up.
And it does. It happens all the time. And I just sometimes if it happens, you just got to roll with it. You know, you just keep playing. Usually it doesn't affect the sound of the guitar, and that's what matters to me. But it is always kind of funny when your hair's like this stuck to the headstock. I've had that happen a few times. So, but you know, eventually it comes loose. It's not so bad.
I'll say, what are you supposed to do in that case? Are you just supposed to kind of tug a little bit, or
maybe if I have a break, then I can use my hand and kind of get it out of there. But other than that, I just keep trying to do my thing, you know, and act like it never happened.
All right. And just real quick for the audience, who is the current lineup outside of yourself for Liquified Decomposition?
Yeah, so Matt Michalakis is our vocalist. Brandon Curran is our drummer. We actually we parted ways with our bass player who had been with us. So we're working with a guy. He's a really good friend of mine. His name's Quinn Herman. He's agreed to step in, you know, and fill in on bass. And who knows if it works out? Hey, he could join, or otherwise we'd be continuing to search for a bass player. But I would say Quinn has done a lot for us already. So that's it. You know, Matt Michalakis, Brandon Curran, Quinn Herman.
All right, keep going strong, the boys. Good to see DeMuth's doing well out there too.
Yeah,
but I guess still kind of sticking with that question of the music scene. Since you mentioned you're close to Wisconsin and Illinois, right there.
Yeah.
Have you been to other venues in those states, and have you seen what the music scene is like in those parts of the states?
Yeah. I have absolutely, especially with Mutilated. Liquified, we're kind of a newer band, I would say. So we've played in Wisconsin a few times, mostly just DeMuth shows. But as far as Mutilated goes, I've played Wisconsin a lot, Illinois a lot, you name it. I mean, we did a whole US tour once. So we've played a lot all over the place. But I know Wisconsin has a really, really good metal scene up there. I'm always trying to get shows, Madison area is fantastic. A lot of great bands up there. Even in the, up Green Bay kind of area, Manitowoc area, a lot of really cool stuff happening there too.
I guess how far is Milwaukee? Is it kind of a little bit of stretch trying to get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee, Liquified, actually, we had an opportunity to play Milwaukee a couple of times, and it hadn't worked out for us. But eventually, we want to get there too. So
it would be nice. But
yeah,
I guess sticking with Liquified Decomposition, I guess what's the plans this year? Got some new material and trying to stage a mini tour or something?
I'm not really pushing for any kind of tour or anything like that right now. I'm just really enjoying creating the music and putting it out there, and then hopping on shows. I know for us, it can be hard. We all have full-time jobs. We're getting older. So like our vocalist Matt, he's got young kids at home, so it can be tough to pull off a tour. But I'm gonna project our album is coming out this summer. I don't know exactly when, but we're getting very close. So we'll be playing live to kind of promote the new album and get out there and just kind of rock out. So
yep. All right. In that case, good luck there, good soldier. Can't wait to see what you guys got this year.
All right, my man. Thank you.
But I guess now we get to the fun topic of gear in this case.
Yeah.
So I guess for this upcoming new album, I guess what are you using? Because it looks like we call this the dungeon in this case with the guitars and the soundproof and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have this kind of, it's funny. It's like a little home studio, and it's not attached to our house. So that way I don't bother the lady too bad. You know what I mean? My girlfriend, Sarah, she's fantastic, but I don't want to drive her too crazy. So I got this small room out here, and it's loaded. I got the drum kit, the PA. If we're talking about like the new album, how I recorded it, I'd say the biggest and most important piece of gear that I've used would be my Quad Cortex by Neural DSP. So it's instead of miking a cabinet and playing through, my PV6505 or whatever, I'm using a modeler for it. It sounds fantastic. You can reamp as many times as you want till you get the tone perfect. It's so easy. You plug and play, essentially. You can just record right there. You can do both bass guitar and guitars with it. So I use that for all the guitars. And then I physically mic'd the drum set in here. So real drums on it. And then for vocals, nothing too fancy. I just used a Shure SM7B, and just straight into I'm using a Behringer Euphoria interface. So, and I'm doing it all in Studio One. I guess it's Fender Pro now, but Studio. I'm still calling it Studio One.
No, they got bought out.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a long time before I'll remember to call it Fender Pro.
It'll always be Studio One in our hearts.
So. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
But I guess the guitars behind you, it looks like one's a bass. What brand are those?
Oh, yeah. So, God, I don't know what all you can see back here, but I have it's a 1985 Japanese Fender Stratocaster. I have a seven string Ibanez RG series. Next to that, I have a 5-string Squier jazz bass. I have another Ibanez RG series guitar. That's a 6-string. And then the bass guitar back behind me here is just a Jackson 4-string Jackson bass that I bought, just used or whatever, but it sounds great.
Is there enough room for you guys to actually do the practice in there too? Or is this just strictly for recording?
It's crammed. This is where we practice and do everything. It is pretty crammed, but there's plenty of room for us. Yeah, I think it works out. We're tight, but it's good enough. So
I guess it also helps prep you for any claustrophobic sort of venues. Have you played those
sure.
where it's just like a small stage and the fans are like right into your face right there?
Yes. Oh yeah, so many times. It does prep you for that. I mean, I've had so many times where I'd be playing and I could feel the cymbals. Oh, I'm so close to the drum set, the cymbals are rattling on my back, so I've definitely been there before.
I was actually at a concert last night. Yeah, unfortunately, it was the opening group called Koyo. This is
Okay.
It was more of a hard rock star group. But unfortunately,
Cool.
the drummer, I think he was hitting his cymbals too hard. His hi-hat cymbal accidentally was falling over. So he had to play one hit.
See it slowly kind of.
I don't know if it was like Leaning Tower Pieces or a moment right there too, or where it finally just collapsed or something.
Oh, sure.
It was,
Wow.
it was right at the end of the set list there too. It's like, oh man, that was just bad timing.
That's awesome.
Have you had those sorts of instances where your cymbal stand had fallen, whether it was by accident because of your guitar player or too much hitting?
No, honestly, no, I haven't. And I think the reason why for that is because drum racks. I mean, most of the time, it's been the drummers I've played with have had racks, so everything's kind of all together, and and that. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's happened, but I don't recall if it has. Yeah.
It was like I'm too drunk to remember.
Well, here's one. I started off playing drums. I've had that happen to me where I was playing live once and my kick drum. I'm sure you play drums too, correct?
I do, but I've not done live. It's just mainly doing drum covers, that sort of stuff. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. But I don't know if you've experienced this where the kick drum will just keep inching away from you. You're playing, it's not catching or whatever, and it just keep going. Oh, I got to stop and pull it back in. I have had that happen to me live when I was younger.
Well, one, it was also because I bought a carpeted floor right here too, so we had to use little Velcros to keep it. Because I don't know if you ever played on electric sets, but
yeah,
it was the electric set with that small sort of drum head. So unfortunately, when you try to hit it too hard, it kicks away from you there too. So unfortunately, just catching air. But after I got a little dais and that sort of stuff, unfortunately, you were right. It was scurrying away a little bit after trying to blast me, that sort of stuff. So we had to put up a little piece of wood just in front of it just to keep it from moving forward.
Yeah, a little block. Nice.
That's our deal. So, but you say you have experimented with electric sets. I guess you use them at all for recording?
No, not for recording. I mean, I have personally, I do cover. I have a YouTube channel where I do covers, just fun cover songs. Like my classic rock that I had mentioned. So I have a lot of songs on there where I've used my electronic drum kit, which it's nothing special. It's just like an Alesis mesh, kind of your standard, thing. But I kind of souped it up. I bought a really small 16-inch kick drum, and then I bought a Roland drum trigger for that, So I did kind of a hybrid. I'm playing a real kick drum, and then I have the rest of it's, I got the two crashes, the hi-hat, and the ride. So I love my little Alesis. But, my drummer has his beautiful Tama kit here, so I keep playing that too. So
that's pretty cool. But it seems like at least it's more of the cheaper ones you can get, because I know Roland can get kind of pricey at times.
Yeah, so I mean, Alesis is very affordable, but I also think it's really good. I mean, for what I wanted to do with it, I'm not trying to perform live. I was more just recording with it, or just just playing drums, just to play drums with it. And for the price point, it's fantastic. And I'm not really a fan of their little kick drum pad thing, and that's why I had bought a real kick drum and just got a trigger for it instead. That felt much better. So I would say, on a budget, but hey, if you can, afford the Roland, if you can afford a V drums Roland or something, hey, go for it. That's what I wish I had.
I Actually, since you mentioned you do a YouTube channel, I guess how can people find you? I guess what's your YouTube channel
Yeah.
called?
So it's just my name. It's called JD3 Josh DeMuth Music. So it's pretty much if you just type in my name, Josh DeMuth Music, you'll find it. I use the tag JD3. One of my best friends, Nick, gave me that nickname, and I thought, hey, I can just put that on my stuff easier than writing my whole name. So
You tend to wonder if he got the inspiration from R2D2, if he wanted to.
yeah, no. So he got it from his nickname for me is Death Dealer. So he calls me Josh DeMuth Death Dealer. So that's where JD times 3 comes from, is from the Death Dealer aspect of it.
Ah, clever. All right. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Okay. I guess real quick, what social media outside of YouTube channel, what other social media are you on so people can find you out and also interact?
Yeah. So I have Facebook. I have are you talking me personally or my bands?
Let's do both. Start with you personally, then bands.
Yeah. I use Instagram and Facebook, but as far as the bands go, we're on Liquified Decomposition is on just about everything that you can think of. Anything from TikTok to, Instagram, whatever, Facebook, YouTube, pretty much anything that's available. I think that we do. Our vocalist Matt does a lot of the social media stuff, so he would know better than me. But I think the main ones are probably Instagram and Facebook that people interact with us on.
That's I got you for Facebook, so I guess that was one of those rare occurrences that you actually looked at Facebook.
Yeah, so, could be. Yeah.
In which case, thank the Facebook gods, I was able to find you there too. So
yeah, excellent.
One of the few times we actually thank Facebook for something.
Right, right.
All right. But I guess still speaking of social media, it also kind of deals with AI a little bit here too. So not sure if you use any AI for artwork or music wise, but what do you make of social media and AI these days? Double-edged sword or necessary evil?
I mean, in terms of music, I'm not a big fan of people using it for, let's say they release a single and they use AI for the artwork. Like I would prefer, myself to pay an artist and get real art that way. But you never know. And you can't, in today's day and age, it's hard to escape it. I always see people using AI artwork, and I don't like it. I've got friends that have done it too, and I'm like, dude, come on. But that's just me. And if you want to get down to the music side of it, I don't think that anybody's really who's serious would use AI. But then again, you have like your funny things, people who are kind of using it as like a joke, like not at like serious music. Like one time I did an AI song, about one of my friends was doing that was really specific through that Suno music app. I just typed in, and then I sent it to him as a joke. Now that was funny, but I would never release something like that, and be like, this is my new music that AI made.
It actually was. So when I interviewed actually a couple of weeks ago, Fuzzy Death Machine, I'll give a shout out to him there too, but he's also part of his solo group. It was Psycho Land. But the Fuzzy Death Machine is actually an AI generated sort of group that he had made.
Okay.
So I think it might contribute some vocals or guitars like here and there, but it's mostly AI, and it kind of delves into the funny sort of concept you were talking about there too.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, if it's hilarious, but and you're just doing it like that. And I guess whatever, if, somebody, who am I to say somebody shouldn't do something, I guess whatever makes people happy. But, as far as it affects my life with death metal and that, I don't think there's too much of that in kind of my scene. So.
Got to tread carefully in this case, but let's see what happens. So I'll keep your fingers crossed. Right. So if your lyrics but I guess he would be related by zombies and even liquefied decomposition.
Yeah.
You guys always kind of like the sort of Cannibal Corpse sort of way where you kind of tell them like a story, a horror story in this case?
Yes. So for the most part, that has always been my kind of, way of writing lyrics would be absolutely, I think of like a short story in my head, essentially. And then I'll say, hey, I'll kind of just outline what's happening in said short, horror story that's obviously going to be gory and brutal. So yeah, 100%.
That's what we could say. It's almost like the B-rated horror movies. If we
Yes,
want to say that,
yeah, absolutely. Very much so.
I guess, have you always been a big horror fan? Got to like the slashers back in the day, and then I guess we kind of jump ahead here with movies in this case.
Yes, and that's fine. Favorite? That's fine. I love movies. I always, I think when I was young, there was a movie store right by kind of my parents' house, just a few blocks away. So we would go there and rent movies. And the first scary movie I saw, not even scary, but it was Little Monsters. Have you ever seen that with Fred Savage?
I have not, no.
Okay, so it's an old, it's like a kid's movie, but it scared the crap out of me for some reason. And that kind of, ever since then, I was always wanted to be scared like that again. So I just kept, going for the scary stuff, and 100% went through all the old slashers and thrillers, you name it, man. Anything horror, I love it.
I would say you kind of struck me as the guy who saw The Exorcist and probably walked out traumatized or cursed with something.
Love The Exorcist. That's a great one. That one was very scary though. Gotta give him that.
I guess even some of the so-called curses that they were saying that happened afterwards.
Oh yeah, like in real life.
Yeah, kind of freaky to be honest.
Yeah. No, that really is. Yeah, you never know, man. Could be real.
I guess so. But kind of jump ahead. But do you have a particular favorite horror movie? And I guess even a horror series too, if there is. Such a thing we should say.
I mean, it's so hard. It's almost like with music, it's so hard to say an absolute favorite because you enjoy, just so many of them. But if I had to say, this is a really, really weird one, but if I had to say, like, what's your favorite horror movie? I would probably have to say A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead, which is arguably the worst one. People hate it. I know that, but I don't know. I love it. That's one of my favorite. That's at least one that I can think of that I would probably rewatch every year. So
I would say not the original one. I would have thought maybe the original one would.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the original one too, but there's just something about Freddy's Dead that reminds. I don't know if it was specifically because it reminds me of being, young and getting into that and stuff for the first time. Maybe that I keep drawn to it because I want to say it might have been the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie that I ever saw. So I don't know if it's just because it was my introduction to that franchise that maybe that's why I like it the most. But yeah, that's right up there. If not my favorite, that's definitely one that I love.
Actually, I'm going to say you worked backwards in this case.
Yeah.
I don't know is this sort of like a trilogy or was it a?
Yeah, I mean, they all. If you're talking about the movies, yeah, they were all kind of in order in this. In this one, it's Freddy. You find out Freddy's kid, backstory and all that. So,
jeez, okay. There's always something with the sequels.
Yeah, they got to keep going. If they made a lot of money, they got to keep thinking of stuff that they can add on.
Maybe not so much for the actors. I think at that point.
Sure.
I don't know because I guess who's the actor who does play Freddy? Because I think he's
Robert Englund.
Robert Englund. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I think he would still love it, but I think there's a point where like this is getting old. That sort of
thing. Yeah. He probably likes the paycheck, so
that's what keeps him coming back. So
yep.
All right. So just making sure. Just one big. Oh yeah, challenges. I forgot about this one. Just real quick before we jump to the extra fun questions.
Sure.
What challenges do you feel like you face these days being a musician in liquified decomposition?
I would say the most challenging thing about doing what I do is with the music is producing it because I'm not a professional. I've never really learned, by a professional how to mix or master. There's a lot of YouTube videos I've watched, and I keep trying to mix and release my own music. And that's very challenging, and it doesn't sound the greatest, it's like, but I don't know why I have a need to want to get good at it. I just keep doing it. I know a lot of people that I could pay to have it done professionally, but I want to do it great, but it's very challenging. That's my biggest challenge.
Is there actually a lot of recording studios in around Dubuque, or even in other parts of like Wisconsin and Illinois you probably could have gone to help out?
There's a handful of them, as far as Dubuque goes, there's one, Asylum Records, that my buddy Zills runs it, and he's fantastic, and he's always on me. Well, why don't you come down and do stuff? And I always I would love to do it, but I want to learn how to do it myself, and I'm having like a ton of fun, with my trials and errors. So there are places that I could go. Dubuque, at least there's that one, and then there's a couple of local people I think that record. My friend, another local friend named Matt Holman, he records bands, and they put out awesome sounding stuff. I could have gone to him too as well. So, but something in me, just that burning desire to just want to be able to know how to do this, and the desire to learn, so hands on too. So it's challenging, but it's also rewarding. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But have you sometimes gotten that sort of urge, to almost give up at points? I guess even maybe more so in the beginning when you tried to take on production?
Yes, so many times. And, every time, I think the best way to combat that is to just kind of take a break from it. Sometimes your ears do need a break, I would realize while I'm listening to the same songs over and over again, and I keep making these small tweaks and keep looking for this sound, and it's come to a point where sometimes you're making it worse, so you just have to stop and kind of start over and give a couple days. Hey, I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna listen to other music, maybe listen to a different genre of music for the next couple of days and kind of get a good reset.
That's definitely a good way of going about it. So
yeah, I think so. That's what's helped me the most.
That's good to hear. So take some good advice from this guy right here, folks.
Yeah.
So, I did think of one more. In terms of your guttural growls and everything there too. Yes,
yeah.
How'd you learn about doing that? Was it one of those you just standing in the mirror, almost holding something that resembled a mic, and then just try to growl like Corpse Grinder?
Kind of. So for me personally, it was the band 6 Feet Under and the album Warpath. So this would have been when I was gonna start Mutilated in those years. So that was really easy for me to play guitar and do the guttural vocals at the same time. But that really helped me hone in on what I call my gutturals. It's my best attempt at doing low growls. So yeah, I would sit and play that record, pretty much the whole way through, just at home, pretty much, yeah, in the mirror, essentially, with my little amp in my bedroom and just screaming out, no microphone, nothing. That's how I learned to do it. And thankfully, I've never been injured, so I must have learned to do, something that I guess is safe, because you hear a lot of people blow their voice out or something, damage their vocal cords. I've never had that, so whatever I did, I'm thankful for that. But yeah, Warpath.
Definitely an interesting one there too. But even when you think of like Chris Barnes, especially these days,
yeah,
he can't do that high pitch anymore. So it's almost like,
yeah, it's a little, yeah, I see a lot of that. He gets a lot of flack for sure.
I think he's doing a lot of things, but man, the years have not been good to him. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's definitely not like he sounded on Tomb of the Mutilated.
Or is that? But even just appearance there too. It's almost like, man.
Oh yeah, he does look way older than he is. You're like right. 50s, now that I think about it,
I was like late 50s. It's like, man, you should be like in a retirement home, man. So
True. Holy shit. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he's really got the gray thing going.
But it's good to see him and Jack Owen got back together. So
Yeah,
like
I
old
did
times.
read that. I love Jack Owen.
You know, it's actually a little sad too, because there was actually a post that talked about Jack Owen in his time with Deicide.
Yeah.
Like, I guess Glenn and Steve didn't really give him the whole creative freedom to approach the song how he wanted to go about it.
Yeah.
So kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate too.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, but he still goes strong. As you saw him a couple years ago, it was they were with Nile and two other groups. It was a psychroptic and embryonic autopsy.
Okay.
So that was a killer show to see.
Hell yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah. Still goes strong, and it looks like they put out a new album recently, or I guess it's going to be released sometime in April, I think.
All right.
Let's see. But good luck 6 Feet Under. Still going strong.
Hell yeah.
All right. So Josh, we have brief questions. You're pretty good. So let's jump into some extra fun ones. So ready?
Yeah.
All right. So we covered the movie thing already, but I guess outside of music, do you do any other hobbies?
Yes. I'm really big into video games, like retro video games. So I have a ever growing collection. You know, I collect like NES games and Super Nintendo games and Sega. All that kind of stuff is just super fun for me. So I would consider that probably my biggest hobby. That and horror movies. Outside of music, there ain't too much.
I would say you struck me as a guy who would play Gears of War just for the chainsaw action, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no. If I need my chainsaw fix, I play Doom.
Cue to Doom music.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Actually, no, it was. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I think his first name's Mitch. I think that's what it was. Mitch Gordon. That's right. He actually does the music for Doom. Actually, they played it one time on the radio.
Oh, like the newer Doom games.
I think so. Or I don't know how it works, to be honest. So
right. I'm like back in Doom from like 1993. Like that's my jam right there.
All right, fair enough. So, I guess, is there a particular dish in Dubuque I haven't heard about that would you consider your favorite food? Or I guess which one would you consider your favorite food?
Not really local to Dubuque, but just in general, I think my favorite food is probably Mexican. I'm going to say carne asada tacos, That's probably my favorite food is tacos. I love Mexican food. Tacos are right up there, number 2 burrito. So
that's one of the things when I got the taco stands on the corner of the road, for instance. Or is
yeah,
sure, or something like that.
It's hard to pass down a good taco truck for sure.
Hey, speaking of which, they do we could maybe call it like a circle or a little gathering of trucks, for instance. They do something like that in Dubuque every now and again.
Yeah, there's a lot of events here in town, and we also have a lot of food trucks. So, there'll be just for example, Mudvayne played here over the summer at one of the local casinos, and it was outside. And then you had like a whole bunch of food trucks, at the concert, of course. So just different stuff like that. Or there's a farmer's market on Saturdays where you can get breakfast burritos from food trucks and stuff like that. So yeah, they do stuff like that all the time in Dubuque for sure. It's pretty neat.
I guess how far of a drive is it to Peoria, Illinois? Because that's where Mudvayne hailed from.
Oh yeah, God, it's not too far.
All right, I was going to say, I don't know if they're planning on doing a show there anytime soon, or because I think they were putting out new material, or whether they're still working on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, but I was actually pretty excited that they had come through, because that means the casino is being more open-minded towards metal in general. So last year it was Mudvayne. Who knows? Maybe next year it could be Cannibal Corpse. So we'll see.
I actually saw them live. They were the middle act. It was all their bands had opened. then it was Mudvayne, and then Megadeth was the headliner.
Oh, awesome! That's a sweet lineup. Was Jason Richardson on the guitars?
He was
For All That Remains.
Yeah,
yeah, he's fantastic.
Is he still with him, or did he part ways?
I think he left, but
unfortunate, but whatever.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I lucked out because the one thing I tend to hate when it comes to like places like Ticketmaster and those sorts of sites, they won't tell you. They normally won't tell you like who the supporting acts are. So I had no idea it was going to be All That Remains and Mudvayne until after I got the tickets. I was like, yes.
Oh yeah, just a bonus there.
Pretty much. Actually, it was more work related. It's a little. I like calling it a little ticket program that I wish they would have kept, because they would give you up to 4 tickets. And it was one of those shows you could pick from because they would be like those they could buy for you, that sort of stuff.
Right.
They got rid of it. I'm so pissed. I wish they could bring that back.
Oh, man.
So
bummer.
All right. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, all right. A good choice for the food. I think I saw you kind of reach for your drink at times. So I guess, do you have a favorite alcoholic drink and non-alcoholic drink?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if it's my favorite. Well, I would say my favorite alcoholic drink is margarita to pair with my taco, right? But right now I'm drinking a twisted tea. That's a bad habit that I've been trying to quit, actually. But man, it's tough, you know. That twisted tea is good. It goes down smooth. But Modelo, really like Modelo beer too. You know, there's a few things. I like Three Floyds beer too. Couple things I like, but as far as non-alcoholic, I'm gonna have to go crazy and just say milk, man. I love milk. I drink a lot of it.
My crutches are cold, so
I've broken a lot of bones, so I got used to drinking a bunch of milk, whole milk. You know, I got to strengthen them bones up.
That's for sure. Though I'm going to say, was it because you were jumping around too much, or is it just bad timing?
A few years ago, I broke my heel skateboarding, so I snapped my heel like clean off, essentially, and that one was a bad one. Yeah, so skateboarding, dumb stuff, you know, stuff I shouldn't be doing at my age.
All right, hey, we're going to be here, Bam Margera, Tony Hawk, still trying to get that 720. That old deal.
Oh boy, at least he knows what he's doing. So,
I guess. So, actually, do you have a little skate park close to you? I don't know if you have one in your backyard there too.
Yeah. There's funny story. There's this. It's an indoor skate park called Ollywood in Dubuque here, and my band Mutilated by Zombies played a show there. It's cool. They host shows there every now and again. It's really neat. But we played a show there, and after our set, you know, I thought, I used to skateboard all the time, and I wasn't bad at it at all. But you know, once I'm in my late 30s now, so you don't bounce back like you did when you were in your teens and early 20s. I learned that real fast. One mistake, and I broke my heel. So, but yeah, there's that, and then there's an outdoor skate park, a couple of them in small parks around town. So yeah, there's a few places for the local skaters.
Yes, we'll keep it light. Just going forward. I think we'll try like those when they go down the rails, for instance. There's like those big staircases or something like that too. But it's like, okay, we won't do that anymore. That's
that's too much for sure. I was just trying to hop over some steps. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, actually, blooper or that sort of deal. It'd be like, we try so many times till we get it right. So,
that's right.
All right. But still, respect to the skateboarders and everybody else who go out there too.
Absolutely.
All right. That's your favorite drinks. Oh, who you been listening to recently in terms of music wise, whether they're indie, in between, or mainstream?
Yeah. I know I mentioned Nauseating earlier. Been loving those guys. There's another band called Repulsive Humanity that I've been listening to a lot. Other than that, man, I've listened to a shit ton of Pink Floyd and Van Morrison. the Doors, and the Beatles, you name it. A ton of just shit that's not metal at all.
So a throwback to the old childhood in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And again, with my I do a lot of random cover songs, so I'll be listening to just weird stuff, and then I'll be like, oh, you know what? I should learn how to play that on every single instrument, and then I'll record it on each instrument and put up there. So I recently did "Whip It" by Devo, so that prompted a Devo deep dive. Just throw on a random Devo record, and so I'm really all over the place. It's people say they have what do you call it, guilty pleasures. I guess you could say that, but I'm not guilty about it. I just listen to the weirdest shit. I love it.
You always think of that towel whip as soon as you hear Devo's "Whip It."
Yeah. Yep. That's great.
They just roll it up and just have it wet there too, so it's like a whip hitting next. So
yeah, I should have did that for my song. I didn't actually include the actual whip sound in my cover song, so that would have been a perfect option there.
I should have played on a friend. He just hear, he's like, "Oh my god, what the hell was that all about?" So, whip it right in the butts. That'll do. So yeah, all right. It's all great choices right there too. So actually, have you tried doing any of the Ringo Starr from the Beatles as a cover?
Any cover beat? I'm sorry, come again?
It was more of a Beatles with Ringo Starr on drums. Have you tried doing any covers from the Beatles on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I did. God, I did with a little help from my friends one time, and it got flagged and taken down. And I thought it was weird, but they thought it was a specific VH1 Ringo Starr performance of that song. So YouTube took it down, and so I thought, well, I'm going to do another Beatles song, but instead I did death metal vocals. So I don't know if you're familiar with their song "I'm Looking Through You" from that album Rubber Soul.
Maybe a little bit. It's kind of
so I did that song "I'm Looking Through You." I recorded the instruments that sound like Beatles. It's not heavy instruments. And then I just did guttural vocals on it so that YouTube wouldn't take it down. And I just thought it was funny. It was just kind of a funny experiment. And yeah, they never took it down. So I did do an old Beatles song, and it's kind of a death metal mashup.
There's always something there too, especially we talked about 6 Feet Under earlier, where they're doing AC/DC covers of Thin Lizzy and those sorts of guys.
Oh, so, yeah. They had that whole cover album. I forgot about that. That's hilarious.
Well, they had 3, technically. I think the second one was All Back in Black from AC/DC.
Okay. What was it called? Graveyard Classics or something?
Graveyard Classics 1, 2, and 3. So
that's right. Okay. Yeah, remember this now.
I would say the third one, it was interesting with Merciful Fate's A Dangerous Meeting and also Slayer's At Dawn They Sleep.
Okay.
So those ones are interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have to revisit those. It's been a while. But you're kind of unlocked a memory there with the 6 Feet Under stuff there.
Yeah. Especially, I just want to throw back to the old music that I guess influenced Chris Barnes.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. But all great choices right there. All right. So Josh, we are down to one more question in my podcast. Before we jump into it, would you like to ask me a question or anything real quick?
Yes, I do actually. So when we were talking about e-kits, you do have a Roland kit?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, what is it exactly? What are you using for the brain?
It's a Roland VAD 706.
Okay.
I forget what the module name is technically called, but if you may put a drum covers and that sort of stuff together, so it comes out of the module. I plug it into my audio interface. It's a Scarlett 18920.
Okay, yeah, can't go wrong with the Scarlett.
Well, I think this one was a bit overkill, but it's whatever at this point.
Yeah, it's good. It's good though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's been, I think, actually going on a decade now. I don't know. She's getting a little dusty
Nice.
right now. So, but I do that, and I use Logic Pro for my DAW, and then
Okay.
I put the MIDI together, and actually, I got a whole new bit put together for doing some both for covers, a couple DSI, a couple immolation, and one
Oh,
from
no
Dark
way.
Angel.
That's awesome. I'm definitely gonna have to check this out for sure.
I'll have to share the link because this year I split I used to do it together with my podcast and drum covers, and pretty much anything else I did kind of mixed together with one channel.
Oh, okay.
Now I kind of split it off into 3 separate channels. So I have drum cover, one that's pretty much random footage and anything else going on in my life, and then this one is going to be strictly on my podcast channel.
Okay, yeah. Well, definitely send me the link because I'm really interested in checking out the drum stuff, and I'd love to follow it. So
Sounds good. I'll give it to you after we're done here too. So,
cool.
So after that, in Logic Pro, after I play the song and I also have like the audio of the song, for instance, I'll just put my MIDI together, and then after that, try to get as close as I can because sometimes it's a little hard with the production wise.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So just try to get as close as you can at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
After that, it's just I use Final Cut Pro to put the video and that sort of stuff together before I put it up on YouTube. That sort of
Okay.
stuff.
For editing the video.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So I try to do a little bit of theatrics at times. Sometimes I think I'll pull stuff from that was like used for like green screens, for instance. It's kind of like to simulate a fire. I also had ones that did like lightning bolts, that sort of stuff.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Maybe because it like fitted. Because the recent drum cover I did, which is going to come out later this year, is When Heaven Burns from Deicide.
Yeah.
I made sure to put a little fire, that sort of stuff, and even a lightning bolt at one point.
Dude, that'll be sick.
Oh yeah, if they could reach that point, because you have to get people's attention for like the first 30 seconds to keep them interested.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I got that's from Scars of the Crucifix, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that song. Can't wait for that.
I would say, actually, I've covered 5 songs so far from Scars of the Crucifix.
Okay.
So I'm actually planning on covering all of them this year.
Is that When Heaven Burns, is that the one that kind of starts with like a morphed voice? It's like something like that.
Actually, yeah. Actually, it was meant to be like a devil sort of voice going on right there too. But it was like but I think I looked it up, like what they were actually saying there. It was actually I spelled spoke, but I think it was backwards and a bit mushy.
Okay, yeah. I heard a lot of so I assumed it was probably backwards, yeah. That's great.
I thought it was like smoke smell with B or something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it kind of makes sense out, but whatever. So
yeah, I love that. I love that record, man. That's awesome.
I would say it was sort of a rebound for them too, because I guess It Tormented Hell and Incinerate I guess weren't as good as the previous 4 albums that they came out with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think my favorite's probably Serpents of the Light, but I don't know, I loved In Torment and Hell too. So but everybody's different. Everybody's tastes are a little different. So
I guess I would say those 2 albums seem to be sort of a low point in their career, with the Hot Peppers at least. So
for sure.
I guess it happens to even the best of us.
Yeah. 100%, man.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got for you. And thanks for having me, of course.
No worries. But I do have one more question to ask real quick. And here's how I'll word it. So, given the amount of negativity that you have been seeing in the news and even in the world these days,
yeah,
I feel like people need some sort of hope. So what would be your message of hope for musicians and people out there so they can move forward with their lives?
Well, I would say, when for musicians specifically, a message of hope would be to just keep going. Don't stop, because eventually something will come of it, And when I say that, I mean that. Like when Mutilated, when I thought we were over, I was like, I'm going to start a band by myself. Fuck it. I don't. I put an album out by myself, And now look at me. I've got a whole group of guys that I actually play with, and we go out and we're doing it together and we're playing live. I never would have thought that was what was going to become of it. But the biggest thing there is I didn't stop. I kept going. So I would say for musicians, keep going. If you believe in it and you really want to do it, send it. Keep going with it.
Spoke like a true prodigy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all good. But thanks for sharing so much, Josh. It really does mean a lot.
Absolutely. So. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No worries. We have reached the end of my podcast right here. Just real quick, do you got any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Yeah. Shout out to my bandmates, Brandon and Matt. Shout out to my girlfriend, Sarah. And shout out to Quinn for, stepping up on the bass and getting us through our shows this summer. So
our temporary helper in this case, if we want to.
Or you never know. I might be able to convince the guy to join on. You never know. So we'll see. But
it's like, Quinn, join the band already, man. So yeah, that's promotion right here. Quinn, join the band today. So yeah. And just real quick for the audience sake, can you list just social media and streaming platforms your music's on so they can check you out and interact?
Yeah. Liquified Decomposition. You can find us anywhere, any of the social media that you can think of. I'm certain we have an account. As far as platforms go, we're on all the major platforms, you name it, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube Music, whatever you use. I'm certain we're on there. And our name is so obscure that I think if you Google it, you pretty much find us anywhere. So
actually, you should have did the aborted way where you had A, B, so that way you could be at the beginning of like the CD rack. I think that's why they picked it at the time.
Oh yeah, so, that was smart. That was a smart move.
I guess so, but whatever at this point. So, but nonetheless, good luck this year, Josh. But we have to close out like this. So, everyone, my guest today was Josh DeMuth. He's hailing from Dubuque. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. But Dubuque, Iowa.
Dubuque. Yep, you got it.
Actually, it's almost like Albuquerque in this case. We got to try to make sure we pronounce it right. But anyway, he's hailing from the lovely state of Iowa right here. He's part of this band, Liquified Decomposition. So go hit him up on socials, all stream platforms. Also, go check out his other group, Mutilated by Zombies. I know he's put it on the back burner right now, but nonetheless, go check that band out there too. Help this guy out. Let's go support our brother out there. And good luck this year with any new material you guys got and any shows you got lined up. But
thanks so much.
No worries, but good luck this year and stay safe because it is one pretty fucked up world out there.
Yes.
Rock on. Last thing, strike a pose. Stay tuned.
Hell yeah.